phone.
Can you hear us, Chuck? He can't hear us. Yeah, I hear him. He was fine before.
He was.
Chuck is phoning in.
You there, Chuck? You want me to try to call you back? Oh, can you call somebody else? My phone, I don't know, it's not working. All right, you want to call Marla?
I better get him off of mute.
Okay, I'm gonna hang up then.
Off of mute.
We're just in there.
Are the night plans right?
No, they have a problem with their sewage planning.
Hey, Chuck, can you hear me?
I can hear you fine, yeah.
All right.
Okay, so we're gonna ask everybody, Chuck is phoning in, so if we can keep the chatter down so he can hear the meeting. How's that? I put you in the middle of the table.
And we'll speak one person at a time, not over speaking.
All right, I'm
Thank you.
gonna continue with roll call. Tom Manning,
Here.
Kevin Tobias, Carol Shore,
Here.
and Tom Keenan.
Here.
Some announcements. Township meetings are recorded for the purpose of preparing the minutes, and the recording is destroyed when the minutes have been approved. It is requested that all persons wishing to speak before the board shall state their name, address, and the subject matter upon which they wish to speak for the record. In the interest of facilitating the business of the board, all persons addressing the board shall be limited to 2 minutes, unless such time is extended by the chairman for good cause. Individuals are requested to remain in their seats and to respect when other persons are speaking. Board of Supervisors will provide a reasonable opportunity for citizens to comment on any non-agenda items after all the agenda items have been addressed, but prior to the adjournment of the public meeting. Rules adopted January 30th, 2018. We have 2 persons wishing to speak before the board tonight, Ben Goldthorp and Pamela Wright.
And I also want to say what I say at every meeting is if we could please leave the questions until after our guests speak, so they can finish what they have to say and we can finish what we have to say, and then we'll take comments and questions. Thanks.
Can we go first, Ben?
Sure, if the board would like.
Yep. Oh, good.
Is there a good place to, maybe Carol, you want to push? So first, thank you for.
Carol is holding it.
No, that's fine, I got
That's
a chair
why
to
we're
rest
laughing.
in.
First, thank you for having me again tonight. My name's Ben Goldthorp.
Chuck, can you hear him?
I can, yes, thank you.
Great. So wanted to come back in front of you to continue our discussion regarding the Melbourne Hill project on gravel pipe. 2 things that I wanted to discuss tonight, kind of the continuation of our discussion on sanitary sewer, and then also some revisions we made to the sketch plan on the board that we're all looking at. So first I thought I'd start with sanitary sewer. I know we've been talking a lot about pump station or grinder pumps, and I just wanted to kind of circle back and see whether there's been any continued discussion from the township, if there's been a kind of a decision one way or another, or whether we're still working through the options.
Well,
There has not been
No.
a discussion or about which way to go yet, okay? We've talked about it a little bit, but
Anything that you'd like us to do to help the conversation at all?
I have a question.
Sure.
I was actually listening to the tape today, and I spent some time to the portion where we were talking about options, where one option was the grinder pumps, the second option was the off-site pumping station, and then a third option, I believe, as you described it, was offered up as having a main at a size large enough that it would also serve other parts of the township through gravity. Does that ring a bell? Using that manhole, hooking into the manhole at Little and Route 29.
Correct. So we could size a force main, so that would be going the grinder pump option, and we could size a force main in 29 that we'd connect at the John Deere dealership right at the little road, and we build a force main up 29 into our project, and that force main that we would build could be sized, so if in the future you wanted to go up Salford Station Road, you could, and then connect into that main.
And
That would be only a couple
short-
hundred feet of force main.
That's correct.
That's not really changing the equation much for
No.
Salford Station Road.
No, it just would allow for in the future, if the township desired to go up Salford Station Road with a force main, and then you'd be able to have grinder pumps on the houses that are along Salford Station.
So I'm just gonna throw something out there, so in consideration of the fact that grinder pump is a relatively cheap solution, whereas a pumping station is an expensive solution, would you be willing to consider making a contribution so the township could help serve some of those folks on Salford Station
So
Road?
I guess the short answer is, we're open to any conversation. But I would say that from our perspective, the costs are not one's less expensive. I think they're very close to the similar cost. So a pump station might cost $400,000, $450,000 to build. Grinder pumps for 47 homes is gonna cost roughly the same thing. The pumps itself, we might buy for $4,000 a piece, but that's purely just the cost of the pump, and then you have to pay it to install it. And so we're looking at it that it could be $8,000 to install each pump, so 8,000 times 47 gets you very close to that number. So if there is some savings there, we'd be happy to work out that math and say, hey, could we do $50,000 worth of work or something like that? We're happy to talk about that.
Okay.
My feeling was that I think it should be a pump station
Okay.
somewhere because of the benefit, the township benefit, hooking in some other people that need sewer. And I'm not, it's, I know some people like to see a lot of open space. Sometimes you gotta weigh and be on both sides and give some of the, for open space, but yet pick up something in the other hand, okay? To benefit the township residents, to benefit the township, because that's exactly what, and you can't be one track that, for all open space, or sidewalks, or, it's gotta be a win-win on both sides, okay?
Agreed.
And that's why, that's the way I look at things in the township, okay?
But can't we have the sewage solution and the open space? How are they inconsistent?
Well, you can to a point, it's just that, the grinder pumps to me, I feel as if it's only benefiting that development, okay?
Yeah, I would say that Marla is accurate, though, that if there was a line that was up Salford Station, the folks up Salford Station could connect via grinder pump as well. So it wouldn't necessarily be that those folks could never get sewer. They could, it just would be via grinder pump.
It'd be all grinder pumps.
That's correct.
So we'd wind up running grinder pumps around the whole township just about.
Which also, the more grinder pumps you get, the more it runs your cost of treatment up, because it's more septic till it gets to the plant. So you may save money somewhere, but it's gonna cost you in the treatment.
Yeah, I think
Well,
what
it takes 2.5 days for the 2.5 days for the middle school to make it to the lift station. So that all sits in a line and goes septic.
Yeah, I think it's important as you're thinking about these solutions is that there's not a one-size-fits-all for every particular project or municipality. It's going to be a combination of a balance of perhaps grinder pumps fit somewhere in the township in X location, and pump stations work better in Y location, and then it's gravity in Z location. And that's just a balance that, as a town, you have to decide where the best, what the best solutions are.
Yeah, I think one of the things we're looking at is having someone come in from the outside and talk to us about this.
It's a good idea.
So it's not Carol telling us what to do or any of us, so we have someone who can look at some of these bigger issues
Sure.
and give us information, and then I think that'll get us closer to our
Sure.
decision. So that should
Okay.
happen reasonably soon. So that's kind of the direction we're heading in, so we haven't made a decision yet, but we are mulling it over.
Okay. Would you like us to be part of that conversation, or is that something as a township you'd like to have on your own?
I think it's probably better on our own.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, understood.
Yeah.
So the second thing I had for you today is just an updated sketch. Tried to listen to some of the feedback that we received last time, and there was some discussion about mature trees, there was discussion about some additional open space, and there was some discussion about having a greater buffer between Gravel Pike and the new homes that we're proposing. And so what we tried to do is accomplish all of that with this revised sketch, and so we've added a cul-de-sac, and in doing so, we've created 2 open space areas, and then added that buffer along Gravel Pike. We have roughly, the shortest distance I think is around 105 feet to the lot, maybe it's 150 feet to a house, and then the other side of the road is closer to 160 feet. And we also just visually showed a connection to Rose Lane. I know that was of discussion. Certainly I'd follow the direction of the township, but my personal view is that goes right through a lot of mature trees, and I don't necessarily know whether the folks on Rose Lane would really appreciate a future right-of-way, but certainly we'll take direction from the township, what you desire.
Now, what's the distance between, like, say, house 41, 42, 43, and 44?
So-
from the little road backyards?
So if you're at the back of the lot, on lot 42 and 43, is roughly 50 feet. And then when you go if you go to the
What
left,
house
and
is that?
42 and 43 has the shortest distance.
That was Mark
Neighbors.
Nables' house.
So that's the shortest distance, is 50 feet to the lot, and then you'd add another 25 feet to get to the back of the house. So you're 75 feet to the back of the house for 42 and 43, and then as you kind of go left and right, that obviously increases. Lot 40 is roughly 75 feet.
Right. Now, you have a plan to put you have a landscaping plan, you're gonna put like trees or bushes or
Absolutely.
shrubs
Yes.
back there?
Yeah, so we
Okay.
would plant something like Norway spruces or white pines.
Ben, Chuck, can you hear me, Ben?
Yep.
So I just want to say thank you. I know our last work session meeting, we spent a solid half hour, 45 minutes talking about placement of the homes and providing a little bit more open space in the middle, as well as an entryway off of gravel road. And I think this updated sketch reflects a lot of the discussion that took place at that work session meeting. So I wanted to thank you for that.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, it does, and also, I think Ernie, the 2, where's Ernie? Can you see that the 2 homes, that was your suggestion, they were moved, so there's that longer
Oh,
entry?
yes, I see that now.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
I have one other question is, one of the things that people were concerned about was if there would be sufficient parking. I mean, I guess having just more space, can people park along the road? How is that?
Yeah, so, in the top right corner, you'll see, and I'll point to it for you, you'll see a typical footprint of a lot, and what's important to see there is that the width of the lot is 70 feet. So what you'd likely see is a house that's 40 feet wide, and the driveway on that house that's 40 feet wide is 20 feet. And so as you kind of go through, you're going to have space between each house to park on the road. In addition to that, we would envision 2 cars to be able to park in the people's driveways, and then it would be a 2-car garage, and it's obviously up to people whether they park in their garage or use it for storage. But they would have that
28-foot wide
potential.
road, you'd be able to park on one side?
One side, correct.
Okay. So it looks like there's at least one remaining issue, which is the lot size. What are the lot sizes on this?
So this is roughly 70 by 105, so I have the previous sketch. The previous sketch, we were 60 feet wide, and so we increased the lots to 70 feet wide.
So, how many square feet is that?
7,000 plus a little bit. So 100 times 70, 7,000.
And what does that equate to as a percentage of an acre?
Sixth of an acre, something like that. Right, a quarter of an acre would be like 11,000. Carol? doing the-
0.16.
Yeah, so 44,000 there.
Yeah.
And the other thing we talked about was having some of the lots be a little larger and having the houses not all lined up.
So we struggled with
It
that
looks
one.
like that house looks, that lot looks larger, I mean, a couple of them.
Yeah, so we struggled with that just from a, one of the things I did since we met last time, there was a discussion about other builders, and so I did reach out to the folks at Toll Brothers. That was, I think, I'm not sure who suggested it, but I did talk to them about the project. I sent them our sketch and got their feedback. And that was all part of those conversations, that their preference would be to have product that would be consistent, so that it would be kind of in a row and similar in size. So that was done in conjunction with them as well.
Well, it looks like, I mean, the houses on the cul-de-sac, I mean,
We'll turn.
those are bigger. That one's bigger, so it looks like about half a dozen, 6 or 8 of them are larger lots. I mean, we'd have to talk about whether 7,000 square feet is, we were talking about closer to 8,000, I think.
Yeah, so I think
We're
the
looking
code
at-
today, I think, might be 10,000, is I think, is,
10,000.
yeah, so certainly it's a reduction in that, and it's gonna come down to what you desire more in terms of open space. The larger the lots, you just eat up more open space.
And this is 47 homes.
Correct. Our suggestion, based off the market conditions today, is that people would like a smaller lot.
Well, I like what you've done. I think this has met a lot of our requests. I really like this. I like that we still, I assume these are the trees, that we're
They
still
are,
saving
yes.
a lot of the
Yes.
trees. We're saving all this wildlife that lives back there. And I think you're gonna want a lot of those trees for
Sure.
all the water we're getting to, so that's kind of a win-win. I mean, I just don't know if 7,000 square feet is too small for us. Do you have any opinions, Chuck, on about the 7,000 square foot lot size?
I think, again, I think we've addressed a lot of our concerns in previous meetings, and again, I think Ben has put together a sketch that reflects most of the concerns or thoughts that were expressed at that last meeting. He would know more so than most others in terms of what the market would demand. You have to look for guidance in that respect.
And I wonder, even if we allowed some of the houses to go down to 7,000 square feet, could we specify a minimum that had to be above it? I mean, how could we, so not all the houses are that size lot?
Isn't
Is there a
there a
compromise
planner
in
for an average lot size that isn't in your neighborhood lotting today, that you could work with the county to deal with that?
I guess, what's your goal with going from 7 to 8,000?
They just still seem very, I mean, even 75, I don't know. It's a small lot. It is better.
What would happen if you took these houses out of this wooded area around this cul-de-sac
So,
and extended this road back into the open field, and then put your houses around there with the cul-de-sac? So you're in an open field back here, you're gonna gain more wooded area here, okay? So you'll put nothing, and there is an open area that goes through there where the pool is, okay? You could make these lots a little bigger because you have an open field back here.
sure.
You see what I'm getting at?
I do, and actually, Carol, if you want to turn over the,
So,
So you're saying just like extend the road here, but.
Yeah, get rid of those houses in the woods,
So have the road go through here, but have the houses in there.
in the back open fields.
And so do you actually cut through less forest?
There you go. So what would happen is, you'd have a group of houses,
It's not, it would be,
give me the front one back.
yeah,
You'd have these group of houses into where it hits the trees here, right? Then you'd have nothing, and then just a roadway to go through here. Then in the back, you'd move these group of houses back there. You could probably even take a couple more out, make these lots a little bigger to get close to the area square foot that we need, and make them a little bigger back there. You're keeping more trees and going into the open field.
By entering those
It's only a
gaps.
suggestion, it's only an
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah,
It's only-
and another benefit to that is by entering some gaps into that equation, you get closer to the neighborhood lotting standards that are comfortable.
So I guess just being open with everyone, on the other side is the plan that's already approved.
Yeah.
And so part of the discussion on our side is trying to figure out the math to make sure everything works. And so, this is already designed, and so there's a cost savings or benefit to us to just continue with the plan as it was already designed. And so part of that conversation is me just going back and doing the math and figuring out, okay, now if we're adding X amount feet of road, does it make sense? So at some point we get to a point where if everybody says, well, we like this plan, but it's 10,000 square foot lots and it's the same number of units, we're gonna say, wait, why are we spending all this money to redesign something if we already have an approved plan? So I think there's some work to do on my end if,
well, we're not
To
saying,
evaluate
we're not
that.
saying, I mean, we're willing to go, I think we're willing to go into smaller lots. I think our concern is more having every single lot be 7,000
Sure.
square feet. We're looking for some of them to be 8 or 8,500. I
Okay.
don't think there's a reluctance to have smaller lot size. I think the reluctance is to have every single home be on 7,000 square feet.
sure.
So we're looking for, I mean, this looks really, I mean, I think we feel this is really,
Yeah,
really
but-
close.
Maybe what the answer is, I need to go back and figure out what the percentage of those lot sizes actually are. You know, we've drawn it this way,
You
but,
can't
but,
tell.
yeah, but I can't tell you
I mean,
right
maybe
off.
these are all 7,500 and up.
That's correct.
And
And
that
then
would
maybe
be
that
an
concern-
easier, that might be an easier discussion.
Yeah, and then the 8 or 10 lots you picked out might be over 8,000 already, and so maybe, you know,
Yeah, maybe. So
25%'s already that size. So I'll go back and do some math on our end and try and figure out, you know, what the specific size is here. In terms of next steps, I guess I'll wait to hear from Kevin, perhaps an update on sanitary sewer over the next month or so as you guys have your conversations. Would you like us to start to prepare a draft ordinance that would accomplish something similar to this?
I'm looking at you, Tom.
Yes. They're responsible to create the ordinance for me examining it. But if the plan meets with, pretty much with your approval, they'll give me a sample ordinance and we'll revise it.
I don't think we've approved it. I think we've said it's really close to what we're looking for. We're not
Yeah, no, understood.
at an answer yet, but it's really close.
Sure.
It's very nice. You did a good job of trying to accommodate all of us.
Thank you.
I mean,